before the first break of dawn, before the first wave crashed onto the shore, before anything moved in the sky or on the land, there was a king. He spoke words that were so powerful that whatever he said became real. This king was also a creator, a designer, an architect, a maker. With his words, he molded massive planets and burning stars, one after the other, and he spun them around a hot orb of light. They raced around the expanse, throwing brightness into the darkness and giving him praise. And he said, "It was good." He built enormous piles of earth and rocks reaching into the sky. Their peaks disappeared into the clouds, and he capped them with icy crags and snow. These giants bowed to him, and he said, "It was good." He made creatures with soft fur and creatures with sharp spikes, creatures that crawled and soared and dove. They bellowed and roared and chirped and buzzed, and he said, "It was good." He wove lacy wings onto dragonflies and set them loose. They danced on lily pads, and he said, "It was good." He placed tiny green sweet peas that snuggled in a pod. They were delicious, and he said, "It was good." He stuck shiny little scales onto the bodies of fish. They were beautiful, and he said, "It was good." But then the king made something even better. He took his own image in nature, glimpses of his own mind and heart and soul, and he formed man and woman. He exhaled and gave us his own breath, you and me. And we came alive and carried the image of the king. He planted a garden, filled it with beauty and delight. He gave us meaningful roles in this place, and he filled us with love and abundance. And all that the king created joined together and sang to him with 1,000 mingling voices. And he said, "It was very good."
One day, evil entered the world through our hearts. He filled our minds with lies and told us that we would be happier if only we had more, if we knew more, if we controlled more. We would be greater and more powerful. We would bow down to no one. We would depend on no one. We would finally have everything that we desire. We believed these lies and we became defiant. Contempt and rebellion grew in our hearts. We got restless and greedy. We said, "Why should God tell us what to do? We will do what we want. We will deny that we were created. We will depend on our own abilities and understanding. We will grab and hoard and trust in no one except ourselves. Let us be kings instead. Let us sit on the throne and we will each worship ourselves or money or power or pleasure or comfort, whatever will serve us. And we will build ourselves a kingdom with all kinds of altars to show the world our own cleverness, ingenuity, superiority." And so, we rejected the king. And immediately we began to break. We looked at our brother and said, "I will oppress you." We looked at our sister and said, "I will exploit you." We looked at the weak and said, "I will take what's yours for myself." We destroyed creation. We pillaged the land and emptied the seas. We laid waste to whatever was in our way. Living things withered and died. Including us, we fell sick with disease and despair. We fought one another and left cities in ruins. We cursed one another and enslaved entire races. All because we waged a war we cannot win against the king. But the king did not look away. He knew from the moment they rebelled what had to be done, and he made them a promise on a starry night. One day, they would not be few or scattered anymore. They would belong to him. They would become a great nation, and from this nation, the greatest promise of all, he would give them his own son.
Thousands of years passed, and the people waited. They grew large in number. They had periods of abundance and periods of scarcity. They lived as slaves, and they received their freedom. They lived in peace, and they fought in battles. Some marched into the land that was promised, while others died with yearning in their hearts. Seasons passed by. Planting and harvesting came and went, and all the while they waited. Who is this child? When will he be born? Surely he will be from a prominent and wealthy family. After all, he is the son of the king. There will certainly be pomp and majesty. He will come with power and authority. He will triumph over those who have ruled over us for centuries. Surely these nations will fall, and we will no longer labor only to be extorted by foreign empires. Surely he will be strong and mighty in stature. He will finally lead us to victory. The promise was not forgotten, for many prophecies were given to them even as they waited. He would come from the line of David. He would be born to a virgin girl. He would arrive in the town of Bethlehem. And so they waited. Finally, on a quiet, starry night, all of this came to be. His birth was announced by angels to a few shepherds tending sheep in a field, not noblemen or dignitaries. His little family was surrounded by barnyard animals and hay, not royalty in a lavish palace. He was wrapped simply and put in a manger to sleep. Where cattle and horses fed, there lay the Son of God. But oh, how the heavens rejoiced that night, the celebrations we never heard, all the songs of praise and glory. For they knew what we didn't yet know. Something truly wonderful happened on this night. Redemption had come to this lowly place. This gentle little boy from an ordinary town, a future carpenter who had no beauty or majesty, would one day triumph over every evil and sin. They named him Jesus. His name will be spoken for thousands of years to come until the end of time. It will be spoken in every language, on every continent, to the ends of the earth. In his name, there will be remembrance, blessing, longing, authority. In his name, we will gather and be scattered no more. And you and I will speak of this starry night as Christmas, for hope has come at last.
We arrive at another break of dawn, many years later, where we find an empty tomb. Jesus was put to death, carrying the weight of all humanity's sin on his shoulders. All of history's rebellion and brokenness was redeemed at this great cost. He said yes to obeying his Father. He said yes to sacrificing himself. He said yes so that we, who waged war on our Creator, could be reconciled back to him. Jesus said yes because he loves us so. For he is not in the tomb today. He is alive. He sits at the right hand of his Father, and He's inviting you to say yes to Him too, because one day this will come to pass. The true King will return triumphantly and gloriously. No one knows the day or time, but on that day we will destroy no more. We will suffer no more. We will no longer cry or be lonely or ashamed. On that day, we will leave behind every addiction, temptation, and failure. We know this with certainty because Jesus has promised this. He is coming back, and death will be defeated once and for all. That day, we will run towards our Savior Jesus, and we will be free. We will be restored to how we were made to be, fearfully and wonderfully made. We will have no more scars. We will walk with no crippled gait. We will be reunited with the God who formed us and breathed life into us. And we will never be separated again. What will you do until that day? What will you decide? Who is the King in your heart? Will you accept the invitation of Jesus Christ to live eternally with Him? For here we have no lasting city, but we seek a city that is to come.